Morning, how's everybody doing? Yeah, it is morning and we're going to prep this piece of meat. This is a piece of elk. It's part of the knuckle or the sirloin tip or part of the football we call it. It's basically on that thigh muscle. It's less tender and no, that's not the whole thing. On the elk sirloin tip or the knuckle or the football, it comes apart in basically three pieces. When you take it apart in three pieces like that, instead of just cutting it up, this works really good for like a London broil and or grilling. Even though it's less tender, it's not the most tender cut on the animal. As long as we marinate that, it works good. So what we're going to do with this today is we're going to make a marinade, and then we're going to bag this, vacuum seal it, and put it in the sous vide. So because it's going in the sous vide, and we're going to put it in there for like 8 or 9 hours. That's why it's still morning. So we're going to take a little bit of soy sauce, and I don't know if I'm even going to get this off. A little balsamic glaze, about a tablespoon of each of these. About a tablespoon of Dijon, and this is going to be the marinade that's going to go on that nice piece of meat. So this piece of meat, the knuckle or the sirloin tip, again, I call it the football. It goes right here. This is a beautiful piece of meat when you take the whole piece and use it for canning, for pressure canning the meat. I think that's the perfect muscle for pressure canning. It's lean, has very little connective tissue. It's less tender. I think it's one of the great cuts for canning. It also works great for jerky, obviously. Of course, that looks pretty good for, you know what? We got a little bit of salt and pepper in here. Let's just use that up. That's what I like to just put stuff in here. So this is our marinade. We're going to use some made with meat equipment this morning. So we've got our made with meat elk knuckle. And we're going to put it in the bag and put it in a chamber vac sealer. And we're going to put it on the marinade mode, which we have it only set for 6 minutes because we have this liquid in there. The marinade mode basically infuses a marinade into the muscle, so it expedites your marinating process really, really fast. So what I mean by that is something that takes 48 hours to marinate can be done in 6-minute intervals in a really short period of time. So I'm going to take this and get this into the bag. Going to take our marinade and spices. Into the bag. We'll take this over to the chamber vac, and we're going to seal this up. Once it's sealed like this, you can leave it in the refrigerator for a week at a time. So you can marinate things and store your meats. If you wanted to wet age your meat, like say you get back to camp and you get home and you don't have a refrigerator and you don't have a place to hang it and it's too warm, cut your meat up like that, vacuum seal it, leave it in the refrigerator for 3 weeks. It wet ages in the refrigerator in this bag. So wet aging would be the same as dry aging, of course, just in the bag. So it does the same thing. It helps to tenderize it and develop flavor. So I'm just going to take this, put it in here underneath these lips. There's our sealing board, and we just close this up. It's set on the marinade mode for 6-minute cycles, and then it's going to vacuum seal it. Now that we got the chamber vac in marinade mode, we're going to come over and we're going to get this water up to temperature. So we're just going to turn this baby on, and we want to, let's see, we want to hit temperature, so we want it to go up say to, oh, let's go back down. I want to put it about, say, a little less than 135, because what we're going to do with this meat when it comes out of here is we're going to reverse sear it. So let's just go to, say, 132. That's good enough. And that's a fairly tough cut. So 132, the meat is rare at 140. So when we reverse sear it, that'll give us a little what we call carryover cooking. So we're just gonna we pat it dry and then sear it in a pan, let it rest for a couple of minutes, and then slice it. So now that is, again, it's not a it's a less tender. So we're gonna go up. And we're going to put that in there for about 8 hours, because we want to let it not only get up to temperature, but we want it to tenderize the meat a little bit by the length. So sous vide is all about time and temperature, and you can check with the manufacturers as far as recommended temperatures for meats, vegetables, anything. So this is now will come up to temperature. Obviously, the water right now is 104, and it will hit this. So this is going to heat it, and that's circulating the water. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's circulating. There is a max line on there, but you have to remember for displacement. So when you put a bag or two in there, that water is going to come up. It does have a lid, which really helps on keeping the temperature and maintaining the temperature in there. The one thing that you do want to be careful about is what you put this on. If you ever get it really hot, you don't want to put it on something that might loosen the glue on the formica or something like that, if you get this water really hot for 12 hours at a time. So we'll just put the lid on here for now, and we'll let it warm up. It'll come up pretty fast. It'll probably take, to get up to 135, probably take about 15 minutes. By that time, our meat will be gone through the marinade mode. We'll put the bag in there, and then depending on the product that you put in there, you have to sometimes they float. So if it floats, we need to have a little weight on it to keep it down in place. And this is a pretty large container, so it'll hold a lot. All right, let's take this out and see what we got. Got a seal, nice seal on it. So went through our marinade mode, so that marinade now is infused into that muscle. You can actually see the difference in the color in there. I don't have to move it around. When we take these, if you wanted to freeze this, when you freeze it, make sure that you spread it out. Don't stack a bunch of things on top, because it takes quite a while. So it's up to what, 112. I'm gonna leave it out for right now. I'm just gonna let it sit here. I want to get that up to it, because if I put that in there, that will keep this temperature down. It'll take longer, and the timer won't start until that gets up to temperature. So if I load this now, it could take another hour to get up to temperature. So once you get this to temperature, then the timer starts. So I'm gonna just sit for a minute. Okay, we got the water temperature up, and now the timer is actually starting. We started with 8 hours, 1 minute. So now we're gonna take this and lay this baby in there. That heavy piece of meat's gonna take it right down, no problem. It's not gonna float. And we're gonna let it circulate. We keep the lid on there. That will hold that heat in there so it doesn't fluctuate as much. And we'll keep an eye on it, but we're gonna give that a good 8 hours in there. So like if we were cooking vegetables, I would like pre-cook those or blanch them and cook them, and then we can heat them up in here later on when it gets close to serving time. Because vegetables, most of the time, they have to cook like 180, and that would be way, way too hot for this. Unless we were doing like, say, shanks or something, that was really tough. And if we were doing that, then they'd be in there for 12 or 18 hours. So we'll be back in a little while. Let's see, how do I shut this thing down? I must just shut her right here. Here we go. And we're going to take this off. Get some water off of there, condensation out of there. We got our meat in there, and it was, what we say, 130 something. And that was marinade that we put in there earlier. So we're going to take it out, bring it over here on the counter. And we're going to open it up and see what we got in here. Smells good. You touch that, you can feel that tenderness. So that is that knuckle. Look at that. Now it's still a little rare, you know, it was 130, 35 degrees. We got this marinade or brine that was in there. We'll get rid of this. And we're gonna just pat this dry a little bit. You can see the grain going this way. We'll pat it dry, and then we're gonna get it in a cast iron pan here and reverse sear this. Smells delicious. Smells really, really good. So we got it dry. And we have some butter over here. So we're going to use some butter and maybe a little bit of oil if we need be. So we got a cast iron pan going, and when you're using cast iron, you want to make sure you remember that the handle gets as hot as the bottom. So we have it on a medium heat, and we're gonna, what do we got here? Got a solid spoon. We're gonna take some of that butter and baste that meat with the butter as well. So check this out. Look how tender this is. This is that elk. Remember, this is a piece of that knuckle, that big flat off the knuckle. At 135. So 140 is rare. So, and you can see how tender this is. So that's looking good. I'm going to just start out with some oil. Matter of fact, my sleeves are coming down. We'll give it a shot of oil here. Because we want this totally to coat, totally coat. And obviously it's hot. So here we go. Sous vide elk knuckle, elk football. I'm going to lay this in there. Away from myself. So you give it a little bit more oil. So let's do kind of, oh look at that, we got nice brown on it already. Looking good, so looking good. We're going to let that caramelize and brown, then we're going to do the other side. And we've been fortunate enough to have a member here make us something taste good. We've been working hard all day, so cheers.
That's the Outdoor Solutions Old Fashioned. The company drink. That's delicious.
The OSOF?
So that's the company drink.
That's what I said, the OSOF?
Yeah. Ah, I like it.
So we're gonna serve this up with some asparagus and carrots just for our show plate. So I'm gonna put a little butter in there, and then I'm gonna take some butter. We wanna put some. We'll bake this other side here. So we got nice caramelization, we got nice brown on it. You can feel it, definitely feel it firming up. Look at this, look at this. Where'd this butter come from? Did I forget to put that in there? Well, I'm using it up. We're not gonna have any little pans or bowls left to clean up, that's for sure. I'm just doing this to base it, to do something as this meat browns nice. It's gonna have lots of flavor to it. Got a nice brine on there. Boy, it's amazing to feel how that browned up, or firmed up. So this is beurre noisette. This is brown butter. So we would take this beurre noisette. You take a schnitzel, put parsley, lemon juice, take that brown butter and put it right over the top of that, and it's firm, right? It's foam right up. So that would be something that would be done tableside. So Dover sole, Meunier, or something like that. That's an old traditional classic preparation done with beurre noisette, browned butter. Tastes like hazelnut. So I'd say we got a nice reverse sear on that piece of meat right there. Now we're going to let it rest for 10 minutes right in this pan, because that resting will continue to carry over cook and make that meat nice and rare. Even though this is a less tender cut, by having it for 8 hours in there, that should have helped make this meat nice and tender. You can see how it firmed up and puffed up from that browning process. Okay, that handle's hot now. That meat is still a little rare on the outside there, but we're going to take the cuts off the end here for our show plate. And we got a really nice reverse sear on this piece of meat. So check that out. The grain's going this way. We're going to just slice it on a bias this way. We can move this out of the way. We have some vegetables back here heating up for our show plate. So let's take a sliver off of here and see what we got. So you can start getting into the rare part right there. Just playing. Tender. That's good. Got a nice reverse sear. It's again rare, but not overcooked. And this This is, and we're keeping it on the rare side, but this is a less tender cut. So remember when we say less tender cut, you want to, we want to, if we cook them rare, we want to try to tenderize them. So one of the ways that we tenderized this was by cooking it in that sous vide. So we got a beautiful crust on there. We got a beautiful rare. We rested it for 10 minutes. We want the juice to redistribute totally through all that muscle. So you see this piece of meat right here, that juice has redistributed all the way around. If we cut it, as soon as we took it out of the pan, the core would be red and the rest would be brown. So when you rest it, the meat just the juice redistributes throughout the meat. So we want the juice to be in the meat, not on the cutting board. Now it's always going to be a little bit, but check that out. That looks beautiful. So we got some sauce over here. We have some vegetables, and we'll plate it up. Okay, so let's do a little plating. Got some carrots. We got some. Now that is some baby pencil asparagus, huh? Come on, come on. Boy, it doesn't get any better than that. So we can ruin it with a little bit of sauce now. We can make it a little better with some sauce. Just put sauce down here on the bottom of the plate. Let's put a little cracked peppercorn on the plate here just for garnish. Put a little more greenery on there. And there we have it. We have sous vide elk sirloin tip or elk knuckle or elk football with some asparagus, baby carrots. Time to eat. I come out good. I'm pleased. I'm really excited about that sous vide. Remember, I think I told you it was an experiment, and I haven't had a lot of experience with it, but I'm looking forward to having some good times with that sous vide. That's a less than tender cut, and that's tender as can be. I mean, that is melt in your mouth. Montana elk knuckle. That's delicious. That's delicious, and it came out perfect. I couldn't ask for a better turnout than that right there. So we did sous vide. We put a marinade in it. We used the meat made with meat chamber vac. Slow cooked that thing for 8 hours. Dried it off, reverse seared it, let it rest for 10 minutes, and we got the best eaten elk you've ever had. So come eat with us at Outdoor Solutions from fieldtotable.com.